and I'm very excited about it. And because this is going to be replayed later, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Elisa LaShell, and I'm the empowerment specialist for my relationship movement. And that is a movement that seeks to enlighten, empower, and equip people for healthy relationships with themselves and then with others. And so a lot of what you'll hear tonight has to do with some things that we've talked about. We have a weekly segment that we do on Facebook every Thursday night at 9 o'clock p.m. where we have real talk for relationships, and we cover a lot of these issues. And so what I'm really going to do is take some segments that I put in our last two segments together and really just talk about 5 people that you should avoid that are stealing your power. And so I want to start about talking. We did 2 segments. One was called Leave Me Alone, and we were talking about life leeches, people that literally can suck the life force out of you. And then the other segment that we talked about was our insecurities ruining your relationships. And so we kind of talked about how to identify people that have insecurities, or how to identify the insecurities within yourself that could be ruining relationships that you have. And so tonight I'm going to be talking about how to get your power back, and we're going to identify those 5 people that might be stealing your power. So first thing first, how do you recognize whether or not you're losing power? And I think that's important, because I think a lot of us lose power and don't realize that we're losing power. Well, let's define the word power. Power is it's defined as the ability to act or the ability to do something. It's also defined as having authority. And so how do you recognize whether or not you're losing power? Well, you have to go back and see, is there something or somebody that's hindering you from acting or from doing something that you really want to do, something that you might want to accomplish, something that you want to go forth with? Is there a person or is there a situation that's causing you not to do it? If so, that could mean that you're losing power. Also, power is defined as authority. And so if there is somebody or something that's always contradicting your authority, if there's something or somebody that's always trying to challenge or oppose your authority, that is something that's causing you to lose power. Why do you need power? Because I think that's important. Power is essential because you need power to win. Very, very easy. I was just thinking, as an analogy, you can have the biggest, most beautiful home in the world. It can be well equipped. It can be beautifully decorated, but if that home doesn't have any power, then guess what? It's no use for you. It's not functional. And so there's nothing really, it's just a house. It really can't be a home, because the things you need it to do can't function because there's no power. Just the same, you can also have the most beautiful sought after car, the hottest thing on the market, but if that car has no power, guess what? You can't get to your destination, because it takes power to drive that car to get you from point A to point B. And so it's essential. And do you know what I thought about? What I came up with is power equals progression. You can't progress or go into the arena that you need to go into. You can't go into your next chapter if you do not have power. And so if power equals progression, then guess what? No power means you have no progress. And so you can't go through life not progressing, because if you're always staying the same, you're stagnant. And things that are stagnant soon die. And so why is it important that we identify power suckers? Because we cannot progress if we don't have our power. And so tonight we're going to identify the type of people that are draining your power. Another name for power, I call them power drainers. I call them life leeches, because leeches are creatures that suck the blood, which is our power line, which is our lifeline, out of us. And so we did, like I said, a segment on Real Talk where we talked about life leeches. And so I did a study and I realized a couple of things about life leeches. One, life leeches suck from both ends. Real leeches, they have a mouth on one end and they have a mouth on the other end. And so when we start thinking about the type of people that are stealing our power, most likely these are people who are double tongued. These are people that say one thing 1 minute, and then the next time you talk to them, they're saying something else. Well, I didn't say that. I said this. Double tongued people. And when you deal with people that talk out of both sides of their mouth, it makes you doubt their authenticity. You do not know whether they're authentic You do not know whether they can be trusted. You don't know whether they're trustworthy. And so the other thing about real leeches that I did research and found out about is that they're predatory. That means that they lie in wait. They don't just attack you from the front. You don't necessarily see them coming. What they do is they slither around and they watch you. They wait for an opportunity to come get you so that they can attach themselves to you. And a lot of times real life leeches, real life power drainers are predatory. They lie in wait. They watch your progression. They see what it is that you're trying to do. They see if you have enough blood, if you have enough power, because leeches aren't going to go after people that don't have power. Power equals influence. Power equals resources. And so life leeches, people that are power drainers, are looking for people that potentially have resources, power, influence, and authority. And I just said power is authority, the ability to do something. And so the other thing that I learned about real leeches is that real leeches go after invertebrate. And do you know what invertebrate is? They are other creatures that don't have a backbone. And so in real life leeches, power drainers, they look for people who don't know how to stand up for themselves. They look for people who they can easily persuade. They look for people who they know aren't strong enough to say no. And those are the type of people that life leeches and power drainers look out for. And so it helps you identify, wait a minute, am I a potential host or a victim to these life leeches, to these power drainers? The other thing that I learned about real life leeches is that they carry parasites, and they can have these parasites in them, and when they attach themselves to you, they can transfer those parasites to you because now you've become a host. What does that mean? That means that there are people with negative dispositions, with bad attitudes, that are carrying things that are unhealthy on the inside of them. But once they attack to you, guess what? They have the potential to transfer those things into your bloodstream, and they can give you those things. And so you wonder, why am I losing power? Why am I feeling drained? Because not only are power drainers and life leeches taking away your blood and your life source, they're also transferring things that are not healthy into you. And so now, where you would usually have the strength to be authoritative and to go after things, you find that you do not have that same amount and that same level of power, because these things and these people are stealing your power. And so what we're going to do tonight is identify, who are these life leeches? Who are these people that are stealing my power? We're going to identify 5 of them, and then we're going to talk about how do you get rid of them. Well, now, and let me say that there's a common trait that all these life leeches and these power drainers have, and we talked about it on our Real Talk show. They are all insecurity, and they also identify insecurity within you. They're attracted to the insecurity that is in you. And so what happens is, when these people and when these life leeches, like I said, leeches, they're waiting in wait, they're predatory. They're looking for somewhere that you have a door open, somewhere that there's an insecurity in you, so that they can say, there's my opening, there's my opportunity to latch on and start sucking out the blood and the power out of this person. The first leech, the first power drainer, is called a crisis creator. And if you want to know, well, what's a crisis creator and do I know one of them? Well, they're the person that's always in a dilemma. Every time you see them, every time you run into them, there is some type of crisis in their life. They're always going through something. They're always in need of something. They're always frustrated. They're always threatening depressed. They're always depression. They're always having something that's going on in their life that is a crisis. And that's not just the other part, is they pull you into their dilemma, and they're saying, listen, you have got to be the person that's going to help me out of this crisis. And they do it in a couple of ways. Number one, they use sympathy. You feel sorry for them. You say, oh my goodness, they are always going through something, and so I need to be available to help them, because nobody's helping them. That's that crisis creator. The other thing that they use is empathy. They find a reason, because you've talked to them. These are people that you don't know are draining your power, so you've shared with them some things that you've went through, and so they go and they find something that they can identify with you, and they say, hey, do you remember when you went through this? Well, guess what? I'm going through that same thing. And then you start empathizing. Oh, I know how I felt when I went through that. And so then you start attending to their crisis because of empathy. The last thing that they use is obligation. They make you feel like you're obligated to them. Like, oh my goodness, I have to do this for them. I need to, I'm responsible. If I don't respond and they've talked to me and they've told me that they need something, now it's obligatory. And so the crisis creator draws you into what they have because they're using empathy, they're using sympathy, and they're using you feeling obligatory. Now, what happens though is, what's really funny about this is when you give in to the crisis creator, when you give in to the person that is creating a crisis so that they can pull you into their drama, what you're doing is you're being negligent of your own priorities, the things that you should be focusing on, the things that you should be trying to do, the things that you want to be going after. You can't even really give it your attention because there's this crisis that you feel obligated to take care of. That's a crisis creator, and they're pulling you, they're sucking your power, because where you could be using this same power to be thinking of new ideas and new innovative ways to do things for yourself, you can't because you're focused on their crisis. Crisis creator is the first type of person that's draining your power. Now, the second one is the superhero. Now, this person is a little tricky because, like I said about leeches, they're predatory. They lie in wait. You don't necessarily see them coming. Now, the superhero is the person that will run to your rescue. They're there to help you, but they only do it when you send for them. They need the validation of you saying, listen, I need you to help me. That's all they need to hear. And once they hear that, they put on a hero cape and they come to your rescue. The only crazy part about that is they are always the one. How do you identify them? They're the ones that are always saying, hey, let me do that for you. Oh, you know what? I know you have other things to do. Let me take that for you. I'll handle that for you. Because what they're doing is they're taking the authority that you would have to do something, and they're saying, no, no, no. I'm here for you. I've got that for you. I'm going to take that off of your hand. But look at what else they're doing. They're taking your influence. They're taking your ability to act or do something. And so you have to be careful about the superhero mentality. That person that's always coming in to save the day, always coming in to say, you know what? I see you struggling. Let me take, not help you. Let me get that from you. I'm going to save the day. I'm going to take that issue away from you and I'll fix it for you. Why is that? That person can also become very overbearing, very suffocating, because they don't give you any room to think or to breathe. You find yourself unable to really do anything much when they're there, because what they're doing is they're consuming your mind and your thoughts, and they're draining your power. What happens is also they need to be recognized for everything that they're doing for you. They need to be constantly reminded that, listen, I did this for you. Listen, you remember, I'm the only one that you have. I'm the one that's helping you. I'm the one that's always there. And I need you to make sure you're acknowledging that. I need you to make sure that you're recognizing this. Now you're draining your power, because now you're saying, oh, this person is helping me. This person is always coming to my rescue. This person is always doing things for me. And do you know what else just happened? They're creating an unhealthy sense of reciprocity. Now there's this cycle where, because they have been, that you feel like they've come to your rescue as your superhero. Now guess what? You feel obligatory. Now at the most inconvenient time, when they show up and need you, you're feeling like, I have to do it because they showed up when I needed them. And so now I've got to help them out. I've got to respond to their crisis. I've got to show up because they've been my superhero. And so now you're feeling drained. You might not have wanted to do this. You might not have had the time. You might not have had the resources to do it. But that obligatory feeling that they've created for you makes you feel I have to do it. And so we have to be careful. And so we've identified the crisis creator. That is somebody right now that's draining your power. And the superhero is somebody right now that's draining your power. The third person is the non-supporter. Now, this person actually, you would think, well, they don't deal with you at all. That's not true. The non-supporter actually uses your resources all the time. They're always consistently coming to you saying, listen, I need your help. Oh, listen, can you please help me out of this bind? They're always the person that are saying, it's your expertise that I need. It's you that I need you to help me. And they're always needing your resources. And you know how you can identify them? There are always the people that only are telling you, oh, I could not have done this without you. Oh my God, you are a lifesaver. LaShell, thank you so much because you've given them your resources. You've given them your time. What you've done is they don't have to work so hard. They don't have to do so much because there you are coming to their rescue and saying, here, you know what? Let me help you. Now, this is the crazy part. After you've given these people your time and your resources, they thank you privately, but publicly, they do not support you. You cannot, these same people that you're always helping out of a crisis, these same people that you're always coming through for, when it is time for you to step out and do what it is you need to do, you cannot find any trace of these people. They aren't liking your Facebook post. They aren't showing up when you have to speak somewhere. They aren't reposting things that you're doing. They aren't out there recommending you when there's a position available. They are using you, absolutely. They have nothing to do with you outside of their own need. And so as soon as you stop being the person that's supplying resources for them, they have hands off. They can see you and know that you're doing stuff. As a matter of fact, these are people that you're talking to all the time. So they know what you're doing. They know the things that you're going after, but they refuse to support you. Why? How is that draining power? It's draining power because on one end, I just told you that leeches, they have mouths on both ends. On one end, they're singing your praises and they're saying, thank you, you're my lifesaver. On the other end, the mouth is closed. They have nothing to say to affirm you or validate or support you because they are intimidated about the fact that you might be doing something that they cannot do or that they feel like they're unable or unable to do. And so what they'll do is to keep you stagnant, to keep you from using your power in a positive way, what they'll do is say, no, I've got to keep this person close to me. And so what I will do is if I don't support them, then maybe they won't go past me. If I don't support them, maybe I can keep them right here on my same level. So if you want to identify the non-supporters, as long as you're right there on the same level as them, you guys are good. You guys are happy. They don't have a problem with you. But the moment you try to go out there in the deep, the moment you try to do something that they feel like might pull you into another arena or that might place you a little higher than where they feel like they are, no, they cannot support you. And they actually feel like because they don't support you, you'll fail. They actually feel like if they don't support you, maybe, just maybe, you'll get insecure and you'll stop going forward. And so what happens is there is an unhealthy level of reciprocity and you never get the benefits. Absolutely. You'll know how to identify them. I was just getting ready to say, because there's no ROI. There's no return on your investment. How do you identify the non-supporter? Because you'll look and say, when they were in a crisis, I helped them. When they needed me, they didn't have the resources. They had a deadline. I came in and said, well, listen, here's my work. Here's how I'll help you. And you look at the fact that I'm sowing all this good thing into them. Clearly, I should be reaping a benefit, but when it's your time to shine or when you are in need, when you are saying, hey guys, I need your help, guess what? They can never support your personal efforts. They can never do this. As a matter of fact, you know why they're doing it? Because you're their lifeline and they don't want to let you go. You are the person that they're sucking all the blood from, so they don't want you to advance. The fourth person that is one of the people that could be sucking your life sources out of you, that person that could be causing you to lose power, is the pessimist. This person always comes across as the person that's just saying, I'm just a realist. I'm just trying to be real. I'm just trying to tell you what nobody else will tell you. You have to be careful of people that use that kind of language, because what happens is they will present something negative in front of you so that it'll start letting you doubt yourself, or it will start causing you to doubt what it is that you're trying to do. This pessimistic person, they'll stay in your ear and they're always trying to show you worst case scenario. Well, you could do this, but if you do, it might not go that way. Listen, I know people and I know how they are. I know it seems like they're supporting you, but let me tell you the other side of that. They'll get you out there and then they'll leave you. Everything that you seem like you want to plan to do to go forward, they are always having some type of pessimistic mindset about it. You know what they also do? They also are very distrustful. They're always, every time you say, you know what, I think I'm going to connect to this person because they look like a good resource. That pessimistic person says, I don't really trust them. It's something about how they look. It's something about when they said this, it didn't sound right. So or it might be You're getting ready to date somebody and they're used to you always being by their side, always being the one to come to their rescue. They'll make you say, I don't know about him. I mean, he looks nice and everything, but I used to date somebody like that, and I'm distrustful. Or you can say, you know what, I'm getting ready to make this business network. I think I'm going to join this group. They seem to be doing great things in the community. I heard one time that they did something, and it just, I'm just being real. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just trying to tell you that, from what I heard, nobody else will tell you that. It's funny. They're the only person in the world, seems like, that knows something negative about them, or they're the only person in the world that seems to have gotten offended by these so-called people that you're trying to connect to. They're pessimistic, always doubtful, and anytime that you're going to do something that doesn't involve them, there's something to that. There's something you might need to wait on that. You might need to hold back on that. This is a person that could potentially be pulling and draining your power. Now, the last person is the sabotager. Now, let me tell you about the sabotager. This is the person that you feel like you should be able to count on. Do you know why you feel like you should be able to count on them? Because you've always been there for them. This is the person that you're always rescuing. This is the person that you're always supporting. This is the person that they can always know that if nobody else is there, you're going to come along whether you want to or not. You would think that if nobody else is around, this person should be there. But they're sabotagers. And why are they sabotagers? Because when it's time for you to need something, they always come up missing. When it's time for you to be able to rely on them to go ahead and find out, listen, all of the stuff I've done for them, I know I can call them real quick and get a favor. They're unavailable. Oh, I wish you would have told me sooner. I can't. Oh, I wish I would have, but I can't. Or I'll be there at 3 o'clock and oh my God, I overslept. Oh, you know what? That completely slipped my mind. Oh, you know what? I had to work. Or, I was so busy. I lost track of time. These people are sabotagers because where you normally would be able to go forward in something, they only sabotage when it's something that benefits you, because you can see them carry out their own agendas with no problem at all. But when it comes to you, do you think you can help me? I have something else I need to do. Do you think, oh, sure, I can do that? And then when you go back to them, all of a sudden, they dropped the ball. They always manage to mess things up that you've given them to do. You can say, listen, I have somewhere to be. Can I give this to you to do? Can you take care of this bill? Or can you make sure that this is turned in? Can you make sure that somebody signs off on this? And they say, sure. I got it. Leave it to me. I can do it. All right. Well, I need this in by 3 o'clock. Or, all right, don't forget, we're on a deadline. I need you to do. Got it. Got you. But guess what? You call them and you say, hey, did you take care of that for me? Oh, I forgot. Sabotage. Oh my goodness, I meant to. Is it still time to do it? Sabotager. These are people that are draining your power. The sabotager is unreliable. You cannot count on them. The sabotager is not dependable. They can say something and there somewhere in the back of your mind you're thinking, I perhaps better have a plan B. They capitalize on your vulnerabilities because they got to keep themselves in the loop. So how do they stay in your life? Well, when they mess up, they always find something that they know works for you. If you're somebody that loves to laugh, then they're being funny all the time. If you're somebody that loves little small gifts or texts to see if you're okay, they always find a way, they think, to capitalize on the things that you still have weaknesses to, whatever you're weak to. If you like to eat, oh, I just came by and brought you breakfast. Oh, I was thinking about you and brought you lunch. Anything that's a vulnerability for you, what they will do is they'll sabotage you on one end, but they are compensating you on the other end. And so, like I said, real life leeches have mouths on both ends. So there are certain things as people who will sabotage you on one end, but on the very other end, what they're doing is they're saying, listen, I'm taking care of you. I still have you. I just messed up that one time, but really I support you. That is untrue. And so we've just identified 5 people who are draining your power. We've just identified these 5 people that right now are draining your power. We said the crisis creator. The person, as a recap, the person that's always creating a crisis so that you can always stay needed in their lives, that is somebody that's draining your power. The superhero, the person that's always trying to fake run to your rescue and act like, listen, let me get that for you, let me do that for you. They're not trying to help, they're trying to take it from you. That's a sabotage. They are coming in and they're stealing your power. The non-supporter, the person that you give all your resources to, you're always helping, you're always doing something, but when it's your time to do something, when it's your time, you don't find them supporting anything. They're not pushing your agenda. The fourth one is the pessimist. Every time you think you're going to do something new, every time you're talking about somebody new you want to meet or another group you want to connect to, they have something negative to say about them. They don't trust anybody. That looks suspicious. They don't think you should do that right now. And the fifth person is the sabotager. Every time you give them something to do for you, they drop the ball. They mess it up. They're never showing up. They always have an excuse why they couldn't come through for you. Those are 5 people who right now are stealing your power. Now, the last thing that I have, the last thing that we close this with is, I'm not just going to tell you how to identify these 5 people that are sucking the life out of you, but I'm going to say, how do you protect your power? Well, the first thing is you distance yourself from power drainers. In my research about real leeches, I learned about getting rid of a leech. And what they said is when a leech, a real live leech, has attached itself to you, the worst thing that you can do is tear that leech right off of you. Do you know why that's bad? It's because when you tear them, you got to remember they've gotten inside of you. When you tear them, they can take a piece of you with them. And so you have to be careful. If you have people that are sucking the blood out of you, you have to be very strategic about how you get rid of them. You don't just snatch them away because you want to make sure that they don't take a part of you with them. So in real life, to get rid of a real life leech, they suggest a couple of things that you do. The first thing that they say is apply heat to the leech. Now, I'll tell you how I interpret applying heat. Sometimes heat can be tough love. Sometimes these are people that you have to look in the face, and yes, they get you with empathy and sympathy, and yes, you feel obligated to them because they help you. But what you have to do is say, let me light a little fire under this person. Let me say to them, listen, I don't understand why it is that you're always needing me and I'm always helping you, but when it's my turn, why is it that I don't ever see you? It's funny. I see you sharing posts and I see you liking people's things, and I do stuff for you all the time, and I've never seen you like anything that I've done. Why is it that I see you buying raffle tickets and buying other people's shirts and products, and I've not once seen you do anything for me? That's fire. That's heat. That's finally confronting somebody who is a life leech and say, hey, listen, why is it? Here's some fire. Why is it that you're always so negative about every single thing that I'm trying to do? Sometimes we feel like when we confront somebody, we're saying, but they've done so much for me. Manipulation, because we don't see that I told you that real life leeches are predators and that they go after invertebrate, people with no backbone. And so what these leeches and what these power drainers are counting on is that you won't stand up to them. I just said that power equals authority. You lose your authority when you aren't able to confront something negative in your life that's causing you to lose your power. And so sometimes the fire and the heat is to say, I don't like that every time you're in a crisis, you call me. I don't like that every time our conversation has to be about something you going through, because I know that I've seen you post on Instagram when you're having a party and when you're happy, you're not really sad all the time. But why is it that I only know about the negative things that are going on in your life? That's fire. Because what I do know is when you confront a situation, you're letting that person know that I see you and I see exactly what you're doing. And what I know about that is people don't like that level of exposure, and they'll start backing off of you. That leech, that real life leech, when fire is applied, it starts saying, hey, I don't like it. That's uncomfortable for me. I'm not happy sucking the blood out of them, and they back up themselves. The other kind of fire that you can apply to a leech is when you start using your power to move on anyway. When you start saying, hey, you know what? I hear you pessimists saying that I might not be able to achieve it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I hear you saying that you doubt that person and they look sneaky and they look this, but what I'm going to do is use my own intuition and use my own level of recognizing recognizing people and what they do, and I'm just gonna try it myself. Yeah, I see you, sabotager, but guess what? I have a plan B. So let me go ahead and tell you, I'm asking you to do this, but just in case you don't, I've already set up something else just in case, because I don't need the ball to drop. So sometimes fire is saying, listen, let me make sure that you know I need to address something that is not working for me. That's how you get rid of somebody that's draining your power. And it's not easy to do, but it's necessary. The second thing that they say that for real life leeches that you do to cause them to get off of you is to apply salt. Now, we love talking about salt, but if you were little and when you were younger, you saw slugs, when you put salt on them, guess what they do? They start shriveling up. And so what salt does is say, let me stop you in your tracks. Let me just say no. And no sometimes is the hardest thing to do, because no is final, because no is complete, because no says I'm not giving you any other options. So that's going to be a no. No, what happens with no is it wears on you, because you start fighting yourself about, that they need money and I kind of do have it, but I've already given them some. No is salt. No. Shrivel that up. I'm not your bank. If you didn't know me, you would find something else to do. If I weren't here, you would find another way to get that done. No. If something happened to me tomorrow, I bet you would have another plan. So let me stop being your plan B. If it doesn't work out, then you call me and I'll see what I can do. Salt, because I need that leech to shrivel up and stop being primary for me. The third and final thing that I'm going to tell you to do to get rid of these blood suckers, these power drainers, these life leeches, it says simply apply salt. Apply soap. Now, what's good about soap? That means these leeches they're getting onto you and they're attaching themselves to you because somewhere there's something dirty. Well, what that translates on is they have found out what your insecurities are. And I said in a session before that insecurities attract exploiters. When somebody wants to exploit you, they'll just sit and they'll wait to see where you're vulnerable. They'll sit and they'll wait for places that they can see, where is there a spot that's not clean? Where is there a spot where they're not having it all together, where things, they get you behind the ear, where you might have forgot to get that part. Oh, there's a vulnerability right there at that little spot that you didn't take care of or pay a lot of attention to. That's an open opportunity. And so simply, they say that if what you want to do to get rid of a leech, you get soap and you wash that area and you say, you know what? I'm going to clean that area in me, that insecurity that I had to always feel like I need to rescue somebody. Let me wash that up, because I'm creating a life leech. That place in myself that I felt like I needed somebody to always come to my rescue. Let me wash that up. Let me stop allowing these people to do these things, because there's something in me that's creating that vulnerability. And so how do you get rid of these power drainers? You apply the heat. You put that salt down and then you wash those spots that you said I didn't attend to those. So let me make sure that I'm clean, because leeches don't want to deal with people that are smelling like soap and ready to go forward with fire inside of them. So thank you guys for joining me for this segment. I really, really hope that it inspired you. I really, really hope that it gave you a sense of enlightenment and empowerment, because one of the things that I do know that without power, as I said earlier, we're not able to move forward. And so that we can be the best us that we can be, we need our power. So get your power back and find those 5 people and those 5 people in your life that are going in and trying to take all of your power, and you find a way to apply the heat, the salt, and the soap and get rid of them so that you can move on and so that you can be productive. I'm Elisa LaShell, the Empowerment Specialist. Thank you guys for joining. See you again next time.